We're now at the Riverside International Raceway. International Raceway was really a road course with about a 3/4 mile straightaway. This is Art Malone. He and Don Garlits were out this particular meet to put on a special match race. The races are being promoted here by C.J. Hart. These were done after Santa Ana closed in '59. So these were probably filmed 60, 61. And Art Malone used to be the driver for Don, and they got to be quite competitive. And they came out, put on some pretty good races for the crowd. This is kind of an East-West Coast challenge with special matches, races between Art and Don Garlits and all the local hot rods. Here's Don Garlits making his first run. Riverside Raceway is located in San Bernardino County, a couple of miles from March Air Force Base. It was about a 2.5 mile circular track with a 3/4 mile straightaway, which is where we're holding the drags right now. The drags were started a little better than halfway down and ran to where the hills are. That was the quarter, the little mound. That was the end of the 1/4 mile. Later on, we'll have SCTA will hold their drags on it. They move back a 1/4 mile. They run half-mile drag races. One nice thing about Riverside Raceway that if you didn't have to worry about getting shut off, because if you lost a parachute, had any kind of problem, there's Chris Karamisines in the Chiseler. You could just coast the car down, circle the track, and your pit car could pick you up way down in one of the turns down there. If you had a radiator on your car, you could just continue on down and come on back into the pit area. Again, I'm not going to try to ID all the cars on this thing. It's a lost cause. This was taken about 35 years ago, and it's kind of hard to remember everybody. But what was nice was all the shutoff area. We get into SCTA, they'll be running the half-mile. They ran to the same end of the quarter, but like I said, they backed it off 1/4 of a mile. Now, they had a match race there. They had a couple of them between Garlits and Malone, and nobody can remember who won. That's Chris Karamisines in the Chiseler. Having a little problem. There's Don Garlits making another test run. And nobody's sure that Garlits or Malone ran. Malone coming up again. That's C.J. Hart. You get just a little glimpse of on the right there with the promoter with the hat on, watching things, what's going on. This car right here, number 554, run by Mooneyhan Sharp, had a blown Chrysler engine in it. They run a Santa Ana a lot. They run full fendered. Here they're running without the fenders. They were running in the 150-55 bracket with a blown Chrysler. Again, you'll notice we're still, even though we're into the 60s now, there's still no Christmas tree. And there's no AT lights as far as the, I should say, reaction time light. Everything you just pull up, get it stayed just close to the light as you can, and go. I'm going to tell a story I know a lot of you guys have heard. Oh, before I get into that, here's Dragmaster. They're running just like a blown Dodge engine in this car. Either Jim Nelson or Dode Martin with the drivers on it. You ever had your girlfriend or your wife say, "Come on, honey, let me drive your car. I won't go fast." You say, "No, no way, you'll blow it up." So after about three plays and you finally give in, "Okay, but take it easy." So what does she do? She goes through faster than you. You know, and the ego kind of goes, "Ugh, you know, what happened?" Well, I don't know, it just felt so good, I stayed on it. And that happened to my wife. I know I had a 61 Ford. Used to run 116.5 mile. And my wife got to drive it one time, and she won 117. And it really hurts the old male ego when your wife or your girlfriend gets in and goes faster. The only thing I can figure out is they don't have to fix it if they break it. You know, that's got to be the only answer. Little Ardent engine in this Roadster. Remember what he said earlier, the Ford lovers? The Ardent overhead valves that were popular with Ford were designed by a Chevrolet engineer. Here's Dean Moon, kind of dark in the hat there, but he'll flash his Moon Eyeball t-shirt at us. Getting into a few of the elimination runs here. Looks like CJ's doing the starting. I just hope that some of you old-timers that are watching this, your memory's a little better than I did, or maybe you got out a little more and more familiar with the cars. So my dealing with drag racing was mostly Santa Ana. I didn't get a chance to go to too many other tracks where I would see the other cars. So my apologies that we can't give you the name and everything on each car to go through. You're kind of on your own on that one. The first drag show that ran years ago to get away from Riverside here for a couple of minutes was run by Dick Kraft, which is really nothing much more than a roadster with the body pulled off. But he came out and turned 109 miles an hour with it. I had a truck when I was at Santa Ana one time go through, and I missed his time. And he came up with the timing tower and says, "Hey, Don," he says, "what did I turn?" I said, "I don't know, I missed your time." Turned out he had a blown Chrysler in it, went 110 miles an hour. I thought I missed his time, but the clock showed 110. Here's Dean Moon in his front blower equipped Chevy Moon Eyes. This car was 150, 60 mile an hour all the time. So where this car had turned 100 to 110 miles an hour, this pickup truck, I thought I forgot to reset the clock. And he said, "No," he said, "I turn that all the time." And the painting contractor, Charles Eaton, and he had a bumper in the back of that thing that weighed about 200 pounds in order for him to get traction. Another fella came up to me one time, and he says, "I'm pronouncing your name wrong." I says, "How's that?" He says, "Well, my name is Manuel Coelho." He said, "You're pronouncing it Coelho." He said, "That's incorrect." So you really had to watch it back in the old days. Some of the names are a little hard to pronounce, but if you got one wrong, they let you know about it. We're not too much more into this one, and we're going to have some more here at Riverside, but it'll be run by SCTA, and they'll be doing the half-mile drag races. I don't know, somebody probably threw a cigarette down there and started this little bonfire, and Hart gets down there and trying to put it out with his jacket, and some fellas finally came up with a fireball and put it out. And anybody want a good deal on a slightly used jacket? This is just about the last scene coming up here. Then we'll be into more here at the raceway, but we'll be doing half mile. Here's that Money Hand Sharp blown Chrysler coupe. That's got a beautiful sounding engine in it.